Close your eyes for a moment and think about your last truly meaningful conversation. Not the one where you scrolled through your phone while half listening. Not the exchange of emojis and quick reactions. I'm talking about that rare moment when someone really saw you, understood you, and you felt that electric spark of genuine human connection. When was the last time you experienced that? If you're struggling to remember, you're not alone. We live in perhaps the most paradoxical era in human history. We have more ways to connect than ever before. Video calls that span continents, social platforms that link billions, messaging apps that deliver our words instantly across the globe. We're more visible, more accessible, more connected than any generation before us. And yet, loneliness has reached epidemic proportions. Studies show that despite having hundreds of friends online, people report feeling more isolated than ever. We scroll through endless feeds of smiling faces, exotic vacations, and picture-perfect lives, and somehow feel more alone in our own living rooms. We collect likes and followers like currency, but still wonder if anyone truly knows us. Here's the uncomfortable truth. We've become experts at being constantly available while remaining perpetually unavailable for real connection. We've mastered the art of being everywhere and nowhere at the same time. But something is shifting. Right now, beneath the surface of our digital chaos, a profound transformation is taking place in how humans connect with one another. The future of human connection isn't just about better technology or faster internet. It's about navigating a completely reimagined landscape of intimacy, community, and belonging. Welcome to the Book Nook, where we explore the ideas that shape our world and our lives. This is Decoding the Future of Human Connection. Over the next 20 minutes, we're going to journey through the evolving landscape of human relationships. We'll explore how artificial intelligence is quietly architecting our social lives, why authenticity is making a powerful comeback, and how the boundaries between physical and digital reality are dissolving in ways that will fundamentally change how we experience togetherness. Most importantly, we'll discover that the future of connection isn't predetermined by algorithms or technology platforms. It's being written right now by the choices we make. Choices about how we show up, who we prioritize, and what kind of relationships we're willing to fight for in an increasingly complex world. The future of human connection might surprise you, because it's not really about technology at all. It's about you, me, and the timeless human hunger for belonging, expressed through tools and contexts our ancestors could never have imagined. Let's begin. Section 1. The Digital Crossroads, our evolving social fabric. Picture this. It's 1995. You're at home on a Saturday evening. If you want to connect with friends, you have exactly 3 options. Call them on your landline, drive to their house, or wait until Monday to see them at school or work. Your social life exists in physical spaces with people you can actually touch. Fast forward to today. You wake up to 17 notifications. 3 text message threads are active before you've even gotten out of bed. Your Instagram shows that 12 people have viewed your story. LinkedIn tells you that someone you barely remember from college wants to connect. A Discord community you joined last month is having a heated debate about your favorite TV show, and it's only 7:30 a.m. This is the Digital Crossroads, the place where humanity finds itself suspended between 2 worlds, trying to figure out what connection even means anymore. The paradox of perpetual availability. Here's what's fascinating. We've essentially eliminated one of the most fundamental aspects of human relationship throughout history: absence. For thousands of years, being apart from someone meant truly being apart. You missed them. You wondered about them. You looked forward to seeing them again. Absence created longing, and longing deepened connection. Now, you can know what someone ate for lunch, how they're feeling about their commute, and what they think about the latest political controversy, all before noon. The question becomes, when you can access someone's life constantly, do you actually connect with them more deeply? Or do you just create an illusion of intimacy? Research from MIT's Media Lab suggests something counterintuitive. The more we communicate through digital channels, the less we actually understand each other's emotional states. Why? Because we're reading words on a screen instead of body language, tone, and the 1,000 microexpressions that communicate what someone truly feels. We've traded depth for frequency. We've swapped quality for quantity. The restructuring of social circles. Think about your social life as a series of concentric circles. Traditionally, you had your intimate inner circle, maybe 5 to 15 people you truly trusted. Then a broader circle of friends, perhaps 30 to 50 people you'd regularly interact with. And finally, acquaintances, the people you'd recognize and maybe exchange pleasantries with. The digital revolution has completely scrambled this structure. Now you might have 2,000 friends on Facebook, most of whom you haven't spoken to in years. You follow influencers you've never met, but feel like you know intimately. You're part of online communities with thousands of members who share your niche interests in vintage typewriters or rare succulents. This isn't necessarily bad. It's just profoundly different. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar famously proposed that humans can only maintain about 150 stable relationships, the cognitive limit of meaningful social connections. This number, called Dunbar's number, was based on the size of our neocortex and hasn't changed just because we invented smartphones. So what happens when we try to maintain social presence across platforms with thousands of connections? We spread ourselves thinner and thinner, like butter scraped over too much bread, until our attention and emotional energy are distributed so widely that each individual relationship receives just a fraction of what it needs to thrive. The rise of micro-communities. But here's where it gets interesting. While broad social networks have exploded, we're simultaneously seeing a powerful counter-movement towards smaller, more intentional communities. Discord servers with 30 members who share obsessive interest in a specific video game. Subreddits to private group chats that become sacred spaces for vulnerability. These micro-communities represent something important, a hunger for belonging in spaces that feel manageable, authentic, and aligned with our true interests. Unlike the performative nature of large social platforms, these smaller spaces often allow for more genuine interaction. You're not broadcasting to an audience. You're conversing with fellow enthusiasts. You're not curating a personal brand. You're just being yourself among people who get it. Are we more connected or just more visible? This is the central question of our digital crossroads. Has technology actually enhanced human connection, or has it simply made us more visible to one another without creating true intimacy? Consider the concept of ambient intimacy, the feeling of staying connected to someone through constant small updates, even without meaningful conversation. You feel close to someone because you see their daily life unfold on social media, but you haven't actually had a substantive conversation with them in months. Is this connection? Or is it surveillance dressed up as friendship? Psychologist Sherry Turkle, author of Alone Together, argues that we're experiencing unprecedented loneliness precisely because we've substituted real connection with its digital shadow. We've become so accustomed to presenting edited versions of ourselves that we've lost the ability to be genuinely present with one another. The future of human connection will be defined by how we answer this question. Do we double down on the digital tools that promise connection but often deliver isolation? Or do we find ways to use technology intentionally as a bridge to deeper relationships rather than a replacement for them? Standing at this crossroads, we face a choice. The path forward isn't about rejecting technology or embracing it blindly. It's about understanding its impact and making conscious decisions about how we want to connect. Because the tools are neutral, the question is, what kind of connections are we building with them? Section 2. AI as our social architect, the unseen influence. There's an invisible architect redesigning your social life, and most people don't even know it exists. Every day, algorithms make thousands of micro-decisions that shape who you meet, what you see, and how you connect with others. These aren't random choices. They're carefully calculated predictions based on enormous data sets about human behavior. Artificial intelligence has become the silent architect of modern social life, and its influence is far more profound than most people realize. The algorithmic social director. Let me tell you about Sarah, a composite character based on real patterns I've observed. Sarah is single and joins a dating app. She doesn't realize that before she even swipes on her first potential match, the algorithm has already made hundreds of decisions about her. Based on the photos she selected, the way she answered questions, and even the time of day she uses the app, AI predicts her preferences with eerie accuracy. It shows her people who statistically match patterns of her previous interactions. If she tends to swipe right on guys who have dogs in their photos, suddenly her feed is filled with dog owners. If she responds more to certain conversation openers, the algorithm learns and adjusts. Within weeks, Sarah feels like she has a type. But does she? Or has the algorithm created her type by reinforcing patterns and hiding alternatives? This same dynamic plays out across every platform. Instagram's algorithm decides which friends' posts you see based on your past engagement. LinkedIn's algorithm suggests professional connections based on complex network analysis. YouTube recommends videos that keep you watching, which shapes what you learn and who influences your thinking. The result? We're living in increasingly personalized social bubbles, curated by AI to maximize engagement rather than growth, comfort rather than challenge, confirmation rather than discovery. The filter bubble effect on relationships. Eli Pariser coined the term filter bubble to describe how algorithms show us content that reinforces our existing beliefs. But this phenomenon extends beyond ideas. It's shaping our entire social landscape. When was the last time you became friends with someone truly different from you? Someone who challenged your worldview, came from a completely different background, or introduced you to entirely new ways of thinking. If it's been a while, algorithms might be partly responsible. The AI systems that connect us are optimized for frictionless interaction, smooth, pleasant, comfortable. But the most meaningful relationships in human history have often emerged from productive friction. The college roommate who drove you crazy but taught you patience. The colleague who disagreed with you but made you think deeper. The neighbor from a different culture who expanded your understanding of the world. Algorithms, by their nature, minimize this friction. They connect you with people who are similar, who will validate your preferences, who fit neatly into your existing social patterns. In doing so, they create echo chambers, not just of ideas, but of social experiences. AI companions, connection or simulation. Now let's venture into territory that might sound like science fiction, but is rapidly becoming reality. AI companions. Companies are developing increasingly sophisticated artificial intelligence designed specifically for emotional connection. Apps like Replica offer AI friends who learn your communication patterns, remember details about your life, and provide companionship without judgment or demands. Users report genuine emotional bonds with these AI companions. They share secrets they wouldn't tell human friends. They seek comfort during lonely moments. Some even develop what they describe as love for their AI partners. This raises profound questions about the future of connection. If an AI can provide emotional support, remember important details about your life, and respond with apparent empathy, is that real connection? Does it matter that there's no consciousness on the other end? Proponents argue that AI companions can help combat loneliness, especially for people who struggle with social anxiety or have limited access to human relationships. They're always available, never judgmental, and infinitely patient. Critics worry that these artificial relationships might replace human connection rather than supplement it. Why deal with the messiness of real relationships, the conflicts, the misunderstandings? The effort, when you can have a perfectly calibrated AI that never disappoints you. The truth likely lives somewhere in between. AI companions might serve valuable roles for specific needs, like providing companionship for isolated elderly individuals or helping people practice social skills. But they can't replace the irreplaceable quality of being truly known by another consciousness that exists independently of you. Predictive algorithms shaping social destinies. Perhaps most fascinating is how AI is beginning to predict social outcomes with startling accuracy. Researchers at Stanford developed an algorithm that can predict whether a couple will stay together based on analyzing how they speak to each other. Other AI systems can predict which professional relationships will be productive, which friendships will deepen, and even which social interventions might prevent someone from becoming isolated. This predictive power could be used benevolently. Imagine a system that alerts you when a friend might be struggling or suggests exactly the right moment to reach out. But it also raises concerns about manipulation and the loss of spontaneity in human relationships. What happens when apps start telling you who you're compatible with, not based on what you think you want, but based on patterns you're not even conscious of? When algorithms predict your future friendships before you've even met someone, we might be heading toward a world where AI doesn't just connect us, it orchestrates our social lives with such precision that serendipity becomes obsolete. Reclaiming agency in an algorithmic world? The question isn't whether AI will shape our social futures. It already does. The question is whether we'll remain conscious participants in that shaping, or passive recipients of whatever connections algorithms decide to serve us. The future of human connection in an AI-mediated world depends on our willingness to understand these systems, question their recommendations, and occasionally ignore them altogether. It means sometimes swiping right on someone who doesn't fit your pattern, seeking out communities that challenge rather than comfort, choosing the messy reality of human connection over the smooth simulation of artificial companionship. Because at the end of the day, algorithms can predict patterns, but they can't create meaning. They can facilitate connection, but they can't generate the electric spark that happens when two conscious beings truly see each other. That magic still belongs to us. The return of authenticity, a pushback against perfection. Something remarkable is happening on social media, and it's the exact opposite of what dominated the last decade. For years, Instagram was a carefully curated museum of perfect moments, impossibly beautiful sunsets, flawless brunch photos, bodies that looked like they'd been photoshopped, even when they hadn't been. Everyone was winning at life, all the time, and you scrolled through feeling somehow both inspired and inadequate. Then, quietly at first, something shifted. People started posting their actual faces without filters. They began sharing their struggles, not just their successes. They created photo dumps of random, unedited moments instead of perfectly composed shots. They talked about therapy, mental health struggles, and the gap between their public persona and private reality. Welcome to the return of authenticity, a powerful counter-movement against a decade of digital perfectionism. The exhaustion of performance. Imagine you're an actor, but instead of performing 8 shows a week, you're performing constantly for an audience that never stops watching. Every post is a performance. Every story is a carefully constructed narrative. Every photo is styled, filtered, and engineered to generate maximum engagement. This is what social media became for millions of people. Not a way to connect, but a stage for endless performance. And the performance was exhausting. Psychologists have documented a phenomenon they call image crafting fatigue, the mental and emotional drain that comes from constantly curating your online presence. People reported anxiety about maintaining their digital persona, stress about getting enough likes, and depression when comparing their behind-the-scenes reality to everyone else's highlight reel. The breakthrough came when people started admitting something revolutionary. They were tired of pretending, tired of performing. Tired of the gap between who they were and who they presented online. The rise of real content. Enter a new generation of content creators who built their entire brands on authenticity. They share the messy apartments behind their perfectly styled product photos. They post photos with and without makeup. They talk about their failures as openly as their successes. This isn't about being negative or fishing for sympathy. It's about being whole, about showing the full human experience, not just the Instagram-worthy highlights. What's fascinating is how audiences have responded. The most authentic creators often have the most loyal followings. Their engagement rates are higher. Their communities are more connected. It turns out that people were hungry for realness all along. They just didn't know how to ask for it in a culture that demanded perfection. Micro-communities as authenticity sanctuaries. This hunger for authenticity has driven people towards smaller, more intimate online spaces where they can drop the performance. Private Discord servers where people share their actual struggles. Substack newsletters where writers speak directly to readers without algorithmic filtering. Small Patreon communities where creators and supporters form genuine relationships. These spaces function like modern-day salons, small enough to feel safe, selective enough to foster trust, and intimate enough for people to be fully themselves. In these micro-communities, a different kind of social contract emerges. Instead of broadcasting to maximize reach, people communicate to deepen connection. Instead of crafting personas for mass consumption, they show up as their complicated, contradictory selves. The metrics change too. Success isn't measured in follower counts, but in conversation quality. Value isn't determined by likes, but by meaningful exchange. These communities often develop their own inside jokes, shared histories, and mutual understanding that's impossible to replicate in larger, more public spaces. Deep connection versus broad networks. This shift toward authenticity has sparked a broader reconsideration of what we want from our social lives. Do we want to be known by thousands superficially or by dozens deeply? Do we want to broadcast our lives to an audience or share our experiences with friends? Do we want to collect connections or cultivate relationships? There's no universally right answer. Different people have different needs at different times, but the emergence of authenticity as a value suggests that many people are choosing depth over breadth. Sociologist Brené Brown's research on vulnerability has resonated so deeply precisely because it gives permission for this shift. Her work demonstrates that real connection requires being seen for who we actually are, not for the carefully edited version we present. When we armor ourselves in perfectionism, we protect ourselves from judgment. But we also protect ourselves from genuine intimacy. The authenticity paradox. Here's where it gets tricky. Authenticity itself can become performative. Some influencers have built entire brands around being authentic, which raises an interesting question. If you're performing authenticity for an audience, is it still authentic? The future of connection will require navigating this paradox. It will mean distinguishing between genuine vulnerability and strategic relatability, between sharing your truth and crafting a persona based on seeming authentic. The key might be intention. Are you sharing something real because you need to be seen and heard, or because you've calculated that authentic content performs well? Are you building connection, or are you building an audience? Reclaiming private life. Perhaps the most radical form of authenticity in our hyper-shared culture is privacy. There's something profoundly countercultural about experiencing a beautiful moment and not immediately posting it, about going through a difficult time without turning it into content, about having relationships that exist entirely offline, unknown and unvalidated by any digital audience. Some people are consciously carving out parts of their lives that remain unshared, recognizing that constant documentation changes the experience itself. When you're thinking about how to frame a moment for social media, you're not fully present in the moment. The future of authentic connection might include more of these protected spaces, experiences and relationships that exist solely for their own sake, not as content to be consumed by others. The way forward. The return of authenticity isn't about abandoning social platforms or rejecting digital connection entirely. It's about bringing more of our real selves to those spaces and being more discerning about which spaces deserve our authentic presence. It's about recognizing that the most meaningful connections, whether online or offline, happen when we're willing to be seen fully, with all our imperfections and complexities. When we stop performing and start simply being. Because at the end of the day, people don't connect with perfection. They connect with truth. And the future of human connection will be defined by how courageously we're willing to tell it. Section 4. Bridging the reality gap. Blended connections. Imagine attending your best friend's birthday party while you're thousands of miles away. Not through a video call where you're a two-dimensional face in a gallery view, but as an avatar, moving through a virtual space, playing party games, and having side conversations just like you would in person. You can hear the spatial audio shift as you walk from one group to another. You can sit next to someone for an intimate conversation. When the cake comes out, everyone gathers around, and you feel genuinely present for the moment. This isn't science fiction. It's happening right now, and it represents the next frontier in human connection, blended reality, where the boundaries between physical and digital interaction are becoming delightfully blurry. The merger of worlds. For decades, we've thought of online and offline as separate domains. You were either physically present with someone or you were connecting digitally. The future of human connection dissolves this binary entirely. Augmented reality, AR, overlays digital information onto your physical environment. Imagine walking through a city and seeing not just the buildings, but layers of digital art, historical information, and messages left by friends. You're simultaneously in the physical world and a digital layer that enhances it. Virtual reality, VR, creates entirely digital environments that feel remarkably physical. Modern VR headsets track your body movements, hand gestures, and even facial expressions, translating them into virtual space with increasing fidelity. People report genuine emotional reactions in VR, crying during sad moments, laughing with friends, even experiencing nervousness during virtual public speaking. The result is something unprecedented: connections that are neither purely physical nor purely digital, but something new entirely. Hybrid social events as the new normal. The pandemic accelerated a trend that was already emerging: events that exist simultaneously in physical and digital space. Conferences now routinely offer hybrid options. Some attendees gather in person while others join via sophisticated virtual platforms that allow networking, participation in discussions, and even hallway conversations with other remote participants. Weddings have become multi-reality affairs. Physical guests attend in person while remote friends and family join through live streams. But increasingly, these aren't passive viewing experiences. Virtual guests can leave messages in a digital guestbook, participate in certain activities, and interact with each other in designated virtual spaces. Even casual hangouts are evolving. Friend groups use video calls not for formal conversations, but as ambient connection, leaving a call running while everyone does their own thing, occasionally chatting, creating a sense of being together while physically apart. The challenge of maintaining real-world skills. But here's the concern that sociologists and psychologists are raising. As we become more comfortable with mediated interaction, are we losing crucial social skills that can only be developed through face-to-face contact? Reading body language, managing uncomfortable silences, navigating the subtle dance of in-person group dynamics. These are skills that humans have honed over thousands of years. They require processing enormous amounts of nonverbal information in real time, something that's much more difficult through screens or in virtual environments. Studies of children who grew up with significant screen time show measurable differences in their ability to read facial expressions and interpret social cues. It's not that they can't learn these skills, it's that they require practice. And if most of your social interaction happens through devices, you get less of that practice. The future of connection will need to address this. How do we maintain human social skills while embracing new forms of interaction? How do we ensure that convenience doesn't come at the cost of capability? The spatial computing revolution, Apple's Vision Pro and similar devices represent the next evolution: spatial computing, where digital content exists in three-dimensional space around you, blending seamlessly with physical reality. Imagine having a conversation with someone whose avatar appears to be sitting across your actual kitchen table, life-sized and spatially accurate. You can make eye contact. You can see their hands gesture as they talk. The experience approaches the richness of physical presence while transcending geographic limitations. Or, picture collaborating on a project with team members scattered globally, but all of you are working on the same 3D model that appears to float in the center of your respective spaces. Manipulating it with your hands, seeing each other's changes in real time. This technology promises to bridge the reality gap in ways that might finally deliver on the long-promised potential of being together while apart. The authenticity question in virtual spaces. But this raises fascinating questions about authenticity and presence. If your avatar in VR is customizable, you can be taller, more attractive, a different gender, even a different species. What does that mean for authentic connection? Some argue this allows people to express aspects of themselves that physical limitations constrain. Transgender individuals can present as their true gender before physical transition. People with social anxiety can experiment with different social personas in lower-stakes environments. Disabled individuals can experience freedom of movement in virtual spaces. Others worry that the ability to craft idealized avatars will simply transfer the performance and curation problems of social media into three-dimensional space, creating new pressures and authenticity gaps. The answer might lie not in choosing one perspective over the other, but in creating norms and contexts where both authentic representation and creative expression have their place. Preserving physical connection. As these blended realities become more sophisticated and accessible, there's a growing recognition that we need to consciously protect and prioritize certain types of physical connection. A hug, the warmth of someone's hand in yours, the shared experience of tasting food together, the energy of a crowd at a concert, the subtle synchronization that happens when you're physically present with someone you love. These experiences involve dimensions of connection that current technology can't replicate: chemical, electromagnetic, and energetic exchanges that happen when physical bodies share space. The future of connection isn't about replacing these experiences. It's about supplementing them with new forms of interaction that extend our reach while appreciating what remains irreplaceable about physical presence. Building your blended future. The trajectory is clear. Our social lives will increasingly exist across multiple realities simultaneously. We'll attend some events physically, some virtually, and some in blended formats. We'll have friends we've never met in person, but know intimately through virtual interaction. We'll use AR to enhance physical experiences and VR to create entirely new ones. The question isn't whether this future will arrive. It's already here. The question is how we'll navigate it with intention, ensuring that new forms of connection enhance rather than replace the fundamental human need for genuine presence, whether that presence is physical, digital, or somewhere in between. Because ultimately, connection isn't about the medium. It's about the quality of attention, care, and understanding that passes between people, regardless of how many realities bridge the space between them. Section 5. Navigating the Future, your Personal Connection Toolkit. So here we are, standing at the edge of a transformed social landscape. Algorithms curate our relationships. Authenticity battles against performance. Physical and digital realities merge. The question that matters now is, how do you navigate this complex terrain and build the meaningful connections your life depends on? The future of human connection won't be determined by technology. It will be determined by the choices you make about how to use that technology. You need a toolkit, a set of skills and strategies for intentional connection in an increasingly chaotic world. Digital literacy as a foundational skill. The first tool in your kit is understanding how digital platforms actually work, not just how to use them, but how they're designed to influence you. Every social platform is engineered with specific goals, usually maximizing your time and engagement. Features like infinite scroll, autoplay videos, and notification badges aren't accidental. They're carefully designed to trigger psychological responses that keep you coming back. Understanding this doesn't mean rejecting these platforms. It means using them consciously rather than reactively. It means recognizing when an app is serving your goals versus when you're serving the app's goals. Practical digital literacy practices. Audit your screen time weekly. Most phones now track this automatically. Look at the data honestly. Are you spending time the way you think you are? Are your digital habits aligned with your values? Understand the algorithm. Each platform's algorithm rewards different behaviors. Instagram rewards visual content and daily posting. Twitter rewards controversy and rapid engagement. LinkedIn rewards professional achievement narratives. When you understand what gets amplified, you can choose whether to play that game or opt out. Curate your information diet. You wouldn't eat junk food for every meal, but many people consume the informational equivalent constantly. Be as intentional about what you consume digitally as you are about what you eat physically. The practice of intentional connection. In a world of constant connectivity, intentionality becomes revolutionary. Instead of defaulting to whatever connection is easiest or most convenient, intentional connection asks, what kind of relationship do I want to build here? What does this person need from me right now? What do I need from them? This sounds simple, but it's become rare. Notice when your mind wanders to your phone, your to-do list, or your next meeting. Gently bring your attention back to the person in front of you. Cultivating empathy in a divided world. Perhaps the most crucial skill for future connection is empathy. The ability to understand and share the feelings of another person, especially someone different from you. This is increasingly challenging in a world where algorithms create echo chambers and polarization is profitable for media companies. It's easy to dehumanize people you only encounter as avatars with opposing viewpoints. It's harder to maintain that dehumanization when you remember they're full, complex people with their own stories, fears, and hopes. Empathy-building practices. The perspective exercise. When you encounter a viewpoint you strongly disagree with, try to generate the most charitable possible explanation for why someone might believe that. Not to agree with it, but to understand the human behind the position. The story inquiry. Ask people to tell you their stories rather than just sharing their opinions. How did they come to think this way? What experiences shaped their worldview? Stories humanize in ways that arguments can't. The commonality search. Look for what you share with people who seem very different. You might disagree on politics, but both love your children fiercely. You might have opposing worldviews, but both feel frustrated by being misunderstood. Finding common ground doesn't require abandoning differences. It just requires remembering shared humanity. Critical thinking about connection. The final tool is critical thinking, the ability to question narratives about connection and make your own judgments about what serves you. The tech industry has narratives about connection, that more is always better, that convenience is always valuable, that efficiency should be maximized. Question these assumptions. Maybe more connections aren't better. Maybe depth matters more than breadth. Maybe some friction in relationships is valuable. It teaches patience, communication, and compromise. Maybe inefficiency has its place. The long phone call that meanders through topics. The spontaneous visit that wasn't scheduled. Critical thinking questions to ask regularly. Is this technology bringing me closer to people or creating an illusion of closeness? Am I using this platform? Or is it using me? What kind of connection am I actually craving right now? And is this activity satisfying that need? If I had only 6 months to live, would I be spending my relational energy this way? Building your personal connection strategy. You now have the tools. The final step is creating your personal strategy, a conscious plan for how you want to show up in relationships and what kind of connections you want to cultivate. This might include which platforms you'll use and for what purposes, how much time you'll allocate to different types of connection, which relationships you'll prioritize for deep investment, what boundaries you'll set around digital connectivity, how you'll maintain balance between online and offline interaction. Your strategy will be unique to you, reflecting your personality, needs, and life circumstances. The point isn't to follow a perfect formula, it's to move from reactive to intentional, from default to designed. The daily connection practice. Here's a simple practice that ties it all together. Every day, make one genuine connection. Not a like, not a quick text, but a real moment of seeing and being seen by another person. This could be a 5-minute phone call where you actually listen. A thoughtful comment on someone's post that shows you engaged with their ideas. A handwritten note to someone you appreciate. A few minutes of focused attention with your partner or child. A meaningful exchange with a stranger. One genuine connection per day. Over a year, that's 365 moments of real human contact. That's how you build a life rich in relationship, even as the world around you becomes increasingly digital and distracted. Because the future of connection isn't something that happens to you. It's something you create, one intentional interaction at a time. A new chapter in human connection. We've traveled together through a landscape that's both strange and familiar. A world where artificial intelligence curates our social lives, where authenticity is fighting its way back to the surface, where physical and digital realities blend into something entirely new. The future of human connection isn't what most people expect. It's not about technology making us more isolated or more connected. It's about something more nuanced and more hopeful than either dystopian warning or utopian promise. It's about choice. We stand at a moment in human history unlike any before. Our ancestors didn't choose their social structures. They were born into villages, tribes, and communities with established patterns of connection. We, on the other hand, are the first generations navigating a social landscape we can actively design. We can choose which platforms to use and how to use them. We can choose depth over breadth, quality over quantity. We can choose to be present in an age of distraction, authentic in an era of performance, intentional in a world of defaults. The technology will keep evolving. Virtual reality will become more immersive. Artificial intelligence will become more sophisticated. New platforms will emerge, promising to finally solve the connection problem. But here's the truth that matters. Technology has never been the answer to human connection, and it never will be. Technology is a tool, powerful, transformative, but still just a tool. The answer has always been, and will always be, the same: showing up for each other with open hearts, genuine curiosity, and the courage to be truly seen. The timeless truth: strip away the screens, the algorithms, and the virtual spaces, and you find something unchanging at the core of human connection: the fundamental need to matter to someone, to be understood, to belong. This need existed when our ancestors gathered around fires telling stories. It existed when people wrote letters by candlelight, waiting weeks for replies. It exists now as we video call across continents and send messages at the speed of light. And it will exist in whatever future we create, no matter how technologically advanced. The methods change, the medium evolves, but the human heart remains constant in its hunger for connection. Your role in shaping what comes next. The future of human connection isn't being written in Silicon Valley boardrooms or AI research labs. It's being written right now, in your daily choices about how you show up for the people in your life. Every time you put your phone down to give someone your full attention, you're shaping the future. Every time you reach out with genuine vulnerability instead of a curated persona, you're shaping the future. Every time you choose a difficult conversation over comfortable avoidance, you're shaping the future. You are not a passive recipient of whatever connection landscape technology creates. You are an active architect of human relationships in this new era. The invitation. So here's my invitation to you. Don't wait for the perfect platform, the ideal conditions, or the right moment to build the connections your soul craves. Start where you are, with what you have, with whoever is available. Call someone you've been thinking about. Have a conversation that goes deeper than weather and work. Share something true about yourself, even if it feels risky. Ask someone what they're really feeling, not just how they're doing. Create pockets of genuine connection in a world that often settles for its shadow. Be the person who listens fully. Be the friend who shows up. Be the presence that reminds others what real connection feels like. The promise of tomorrow. The future of human connection is being written in moments like these, when you finish this audiobook and decide what to do next. Will you scroll mindlessly through feeds, or will you reach out to someone who matters? Will you default to the easiest form of contact, or will you choose the most meaningful one? These small decisions, multiplied across billions of people making billions of choices, will determine whether technology enhances our humanity or diminishes it, whether we grow more connected or more isolated, whether we remember what it means to truly see and be seen by another person. I believe in a future where technology serves human connection rather than replacing it, where we use tools intentionally to bridge distances while preserving the irreplaceable magic of presence, where we're smart enough to question the systems that shape our social lives and brave enough to sometimes ignore their recommendations, where we remember that no algorithm can replicate the warmth of a friend's laugh, no virtual reality can substitute for a child's hug, and no AI companion can replace the sacred vulnerability of being fully known by another human being. That future is possible, but only if enough people choose it. Your next step, if this exploration has resonated with you, if you're hungry for more insights about human psychology, meaningful living, and navigating our complex modern world, then you belong here at the Book Nook. This is a community of people who think deeply about what it means to be human, who refuse to accept defaults, and who believe that understanding ourselves and each other is the most important work we can do. Hit that subscribe button. Ring the notification bell. Join us as we continue exploring the ideas that matter most, the psychology of connection, the philosophy of meaning, and the practical wisdom for building lives that feel as good on the inside as they look on the outside. Because the future of human connection starts with people like you, people who care enough to think critically, feel deeply, and show up authentically in a world that often rewards the opposite. Welcome to the Book Nook, where we don't just consume ideas, we use them to transform how we live, connect, and matter to one another. The future of connection is being written right now. Let's write it together.